What's up everyone, Wolfman here, back at it again with another LEGO Star Wars review. And today I am doing a review on Pre Visla's Mandalorian Starfighter. Now before I get into the review, if anyone who hadn't seen my last videos and who comes across this channel, I have been doing reviews on LEGO Star Wars sets, mainly from different eras, and all these reviews are going to be leading up to the review on my Grand Fleet, which would be several different starships and starfighters, consisting from Republic to Imperial, First Order, Resistance, Rebels, and anything in between, which are going to be most of which I have been doing reviews. And this week, I am doing reviews on starships that have been utilized by Mandalorians, and as what the title of this video would say, and as I had said before, I am doing it on Pre Visla's Mandalorian Starfighter, and this set is actually quite the interesting one. It's the first one of its type, and it's definitely was definitely well worth the purchase, even though it's quite outdated and has been retired since. And I don't think there's anything else to pretty much share at this point. So without any further ado, on to the review. So here it is, set number 9525. Excuse me. Pre Visla's Mandalorian Starfighter. Although in the original title it's supposed to be Mandalorian Fighter, it's still technically a starfighter. And this set was released back in 2012. Has 403 pieces, and it comes with 3 minifigures, one of which is unique to the set, and that happens to be Pre Visla himself. As you can see in the photo here of all 3 of them, it does come with a Death Watch Trooper and Obi-Wan Kenobi himself. And all these guys, I don't recall if Obi-Wan's got a double face, but I know Visla and the Death Watch Trooper, they do not have double face, but they do actually have faces that are not blackhead studs, which is actually quite fortunate because I think before doing the Clone Wars series, a lot of these kinds of figures, if they weren't characters, they just had the blackhead studs. However, these guys definitely do not, and might as well jump into that. I mean, if you ever seen the photo before, these guys are actually pretty well detailed for a set that was released over 10 years ago, and Pre Visla has quite the unique outfit. I mean, he definitely stands out for being the leader of the Death Watch movement. If anyone who has seen the Clone Wars, one of the best series that ever came out from Disney, or excuse me, from Star Wars itself. And he was, I don't recall which season he was first introduced, but he was basically the leader of the moon of Concord Dawn, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone who watched it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe, but he was the leader, and he was also the leader of the Death Watch movement, who wanted to overthrow the pacifistic Duchess Satine Kryze, who actually did have feelings for Obi-Wan. And that was just a little bit of the lore, and of course, the Mandalorian Trooper here, which is the extra figure that this set comes with. And one of the features in this photo here from the back, both these troopers minus Obi-Wan have jetpacks, 2 different color variants actually. And one of the other feature on Visla would be his cape, which has the Death Watch logo on it, and of course he has it on his helmet, which is one of the best detailed helmets for a Mandalorian character that's ever been done. And each of these guys actually do come with a weapon. The trooper does come with a blaster, Obi-Wan with his lightsaber, and Visla with his. He comes with the dark saber, which was also featured in the same episode he was first introduced, and there's quite a lot of history behind that particular weapon. But I believe that may be it. Excuse me, I'm so sorry for that. But Obi-Wan here, this isn't the only set that you can actually get him in. He comes in a few other sets of this particular design, and I don't know, and once again, I don't know if he has double face or not. But I believe that covers it for the figures themselves, and now onto the actual Starfighter. And the camera view does not really do any real justice, but the wings actually keep going up right out of the shot. So I'll try throwing a photo here. If not, then I'll have to show it one other way or another. But anyways, one of the unique features that this sucker has is the wing designs, which was utilized in the series as well. Before I jump into that, this does have a cockpit, of course, and it does seat two minifigures inside. Where those yellow pieces are, they actually hold in the figures themselves without any of the stuff to hold them in. And it does have a control panel. I doubt you guys can see that. I'm so sorry for the terrible lighting. But you can fit two figures in there. There are nose-mounted guns here on the top, here in the front, and it does have a nose landing gear. And in the back now, there were a couple of guns you can actually have back here, but I didn't exactly like them per se, so I actually purposely removed them. I did put in a dome piece here, which has disappeared. I don't know what happened to it, but it does have articulation. It does rotate. So any of the guns that were on here, they could basically they can have all kinds of articulation for basically serving as a rear gunner. And one of the features this sucker has, I don't know if it's in there. Oh, it is. And there is a box that can house stuff, and the storage that holds it opens from the top and the bottom. And ironically, you can actually stick the Pre Visla's Darksaber in this slot here. I don't know if you can see that. But there's a slot, but in there you can actually stick this little box here with a control pad on the top, which is actually a nice touch, and don't really bother keeping that out. But that's just one of the other big features that this sucker has. And of course, being a starship, it does have a flight mode. One of them, of course, you gotta flip up the landing gear. But the wings, they actually rotate forward. So this is basically how big it is from one perspective. And yeah, this is the rest. These are the rest of the wings that this has. And of course, I'm actually a big fan of this kind of design of a starfighter or even a starship, because in the series this thing was basically a starfighter, a starship, and even a dropship. If anyone who hasn't seen the series, and of course, I'm going to point out the engine thrusters, two on each side or on each wing, and basically when it comes in for a landing, they basically rotate up and basically acts as a means for it to land safely. But one of the functions this sucker has is the cockpit turns, or the rest of the body does. And basically it rotates like that, which is actually quite a neat feature. Of course, on the other side it shows the underside, which becomes on one-sided. And I'm so sorry for apologizing, but the view on the angles on this are rather awkward at best. But this sucker really was the best one of the best purchases I actually had made early on in my collection. I actually never tore this sucker apart, and I can't think of any other features this sucker has. But this sucker was predominantly featured in both the Clone Wars and in the Mandalorian series. If anyone who has watched that series, you actually do see another one of these. And actually, if I just remember, it was also featured in Star Wars Rebels. Darth Maul had one that was redesigned, that had a different color scheme on it. It was his personal ship. But this one was basically the ambassador to in introducing Mandalorian starships, and this one's definitely the first one, and by far the best. This is actually the first one. They came out with a second one, which will be the next review, and I'm going to get some pretty harsh criticism on that. But any other forms of criticism I have on this, I don't think I have any per se. Pardon me. I would almost do a few other design features, maybe put some more guns on the undersides here, maybe even on the surface of the wings as well. But I think it's fine I kind of do think it's fine as it is. But I think the only complaint I would think of is the gun placements for the rear here. A little bit on the flimsy side. They weren't anything too special, no spring loader or stud launchers, so they were pretty basic on the rear design of this fighter. But all in all, this sucker was definitely well worth the purchase from when I bought it. Well over I'm pretty sure it was over a decade ago, and I would, if anyone were to come across this, definitely get it. I mean, this is definitely well worth the investment, or even get it on, or even order it online. Because aside from getting Pre Visla, getting the Starship in general, it was a definitely worthwhile investment. I wish I actually got at least maybe 2 more, so I'd have a small fleet of Mandalorian starships. Alas, I never did, but I would buy the different pieces to build this in different colors and do other color variants, which I have seen. So definitely worth the purchase and worth the investment. So I believe that's it, and that would be the review. So that was my review on Pre Visla's Mandalorian Starfighter, and if you liked that video, I would appreciate if you guys were to leave a like and leave a comment. I would like to hear some feedback on any additional information on Star Wars lore on this particular set, any other ones, and if you want to see more, come join the Wolfpack by hitting the red subscribe button down below for more content, and definitely tune into the review on my Grand Fleet, which is coming up. It's a little over a month away, and I got at least now 5 more Lego Star Wars Starfighter sets, 2 more Mandalorian ships, and then 3 First Order Starfighters, all TIE fighters of 3 different variants, and those are going to be for next week, so definitely tune into that if anyone who has come by this channel. And I do believe that may be it for now, so all that's left for me to remind you that Jesus loves you more than Elmo and Bart, and I'll see you guys next time.